Hi, I'm John Bommarito, another Acoustic Alternatives from Grove Studios in Ypsilanti, a place that if you're in the Metro Detroit, Ann Arbor area and you're looking for a place to get out of the garage and get into the studio, this is the place to go. They've got multiple rooms, including obviously a podcast room. They've got rooms you can practice your band in of various sizes, and even DJs can practice here. And today's show, I will say, is brought to you by them because they are kind enough to let me do my podcast here at the studio. And somebody I've been a longtime fan of who released her first album 31 years ago.
Oh, no.
Jonatha Brooke is here. Jonatha,
31 years?
That's fun. Well, at least that's when it was released on Elektra, I think. I don't know about when it was released on Green Linen.
You're right. I mean, you're right. It is 31 years.
It's a long
91.
time. That's a long time ago.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like, I mean, wow.
Yeah. Your music has been part of my musical landscape for so long. It just seems like you've always been there.
Amazing. Hopefully I can stay here a little longer.
I think this is your career. I think this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
So far, so good.
On the 1995 album, which I thought was excellent, Plum, you declared in the song Made of Gold, "You will remember my name." And I certainly would, as I've been a fan of yours since, well, I didn't discover the first album. It was the second album when I was hearing So Much Mine on WDET, and that's where I became a fan. So I'm glad to have you as part of today's podcast. And before we get into talking about a younger version of you, would you like to start with a song?
Sure.
What's it going to be?
This is a song called Better After All, and this is on a record called Back in the Circus. I am trying to read your mind. We have stopped to smell the roses. I am trying not to lose mine. The roses on my mind. You are going to break my heart. I can see it in your eyes, and I can feel it when the rain starts falling with my heart. I will watch the rain fall harder. I will stay and you will go. I won't beg and I won't barter. I won't say that I told you so. No, 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 no. You are stringing me along. You'll pretend that you're not going. Try and comfort me, but you're gone. Yeah, and there's another song. This is better after all. I will keep the holy sweater, tend the roses when the leaves fall. It's better after all. I will watch the rain fall harder. I will stay and you will go. I won't beg and I won't barter. I won't say that I told you so. No, 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 no. 'Cause I am trying to read your mind. You are going to break my heart. You are stringing me along. And this is better after all. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is better after all. It's better after all.
Jonatha Brooke is my guest today on Acoustic Alternatives, Better After All, from Back in the Circus, going back in time for that one. And speaking of going back in time, let's go back to young you, like Boston. Is that where you grew up?
I grew up in Boston, yeah.
Yeah. What was it like growing up there for you?
It was pretty idyllic, I have to say. My favorite part, though, was when we moved to London. So
What?
That doesn't, yeah, when I was 6, we moved to London, and it was a very explosive, awesome, fabulous time. We spent about 2.5 years in London, and I came back very changed, I think. So I was, that's where I discovered ballet. I became a hardcore dancer. I started speaking French. and I just loved the whole atmosphere in London. So I came back and kind of went hardcore into dancing and studying French, and
music came in somewhere.
But music was kind of late. Like, it wasn't until I was 13 that I begged my father for a guitar. And it was mostly because I was obsessed with my camp counselor, Mindy Jostin, who you might remember from touring with John Mellencamp and the Hooters. Incredible multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter.
And
she was my camp counselor.
Camp counselor, apparently.
And I was so obsessed with her. Like, she could sing anything and play anything. And she had this pistachio green bikini that I just was,
You
anyway,
wanted one.
Yeah. I wanted to be Mindy Jostin. So I got a guitar for Christmas.
Do you keep in touch with her at all?
She passed away a few years ago. Yeah. Really, really sad, really young. But until then, yes.
I didn't know you spoke French, but it makes sense because on the deluxe edition from Europe of Steady Pull, there's some French stuff on there.
Yeah, I'm passably good. I have an accent that can fool some of the people some of the time, and then if I get deep into a conversation, I'm lacking in vocabulary. But I can play along for a pretty good 10 minutes.
So did you do dance and music at the same time for a while in your life, or did one take over?
Yeah, well, it was simultaneous for a while. I didn't start writing songs till college, actually.
Really?
So I was in the rock band in 8th grade. I was in the college choir. I was in the a cappella group. I had a top 40 band. But it wasn't until sophomore year of college that I actually started composing and writing, and that was the sort of light bulb moment. But I had always identified as a dancer, so. Even after college, I got a degree in English, but I went back to dancing and touring on the weekends with my friend Jennifer, who was my partner in the band The Story. Mm-hmm. And it really came down to this juggling act of like gigs on the weekend in, folky basements in New England with Jennifer, and rehearsing with 4 dance companies in Boston, and nannying and cleaning houses and somehow, making the rent. But it was like the end of the 80s, like 1990, we got this record deal. And that was kind of the clincher when I quit dancing and Jennifer and I went on the road, basically.
And nannying gave me the song that I started my relationship with your music with, right? So Much Mine. That's from your nannying experience.
From my nannying.
Such a great story. You've told that story live many times, and it's like, every time I hear the song, I always remember you talking about it on stage in those early days.
Yeah, it's a deep one, and I'm so lucky that I got to kind of channel that mom energy. I don't have kids of my own, but it's kind of a deep dive into that mother-daughter conversation.
It's a great song still. Every time I hear it, it hits me. So
thank you.
That's a sign of a good thing. Then at some point, the scene was local because you were playing coffee houses and basements, but then you got signed to a larger label, and now you're going across the country.
Yeah.
Were you guys doing that as headliners or openers initially?
Initially, we were openers, and actually Ann Arbor was one of the very first places that we kind of got a little foothold, and it was because of the ARC and their generosity, and also there was an agency here that took us on, the Fleming Tamulevich agency. And so they were able, because they had so many great singer-songwriter artists on their roster, they were able to put me and Jennifer opening for John Gorka and Patty Larkin and Chris Smither. And it was really great training. I think we really cut our teeth on that folk circuit in the early years. When we had some tour support, and we had beautiful record recording budgets, but it's the touring where you really kind of figure out who you are.
And you connect with your fans. I mean, in the kind of music that you play, I mean, if you were playing to stadiums, you would never know the faces of your fans. You wouldn't remember me.
Yeah. Well,
no, you probably
I'll always remember you.
I don't know about that, but I mean, just in general, the kind of music that you're doing connects with people in a different way than nothing against Taylor Swift, but she doesn't know most of her fans, right?
Yeah. So, there's an intimacy to what we traveling songsters do.
Well, the traveling did well. The records did well. And then at one point, the label said, we don't need Jonatha anymore.
3 different points.
3 different. Well, the last point was the MCA. Was that with Plum, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Or no, 10 Cent Wings. 10 Cent Wings.
10 Cent Wings was the last major label debacle, yeah.
And then you went on your own.
Then I went indie, yeah. It's like, screw this. I can do a better job than you all.
And why is it Bad Dog? I know you're a dog fan, but...
Yeah, I am a dog lover. I'm a dog freak. And my earliest publishing company was called Dog Dream Records. I mean, Dog Dream Music Publishing, after a song that I wrote on the very first story record called Dog Dreams that people are still yelling for. And so I figured I would just sort of make my new thing, dog related. So now I have another publishing company called Naughty Puppy Music. And now I have... Bad Dog Records, and the next one, I don't know, might be, well, I don't know if I could say it, but like... You
can. It's not radio.
Nasty Bitch,
you can say
something. Yeah. Just to keep it in the...
It's allowable.
Yeah.
Is there a favorite dog breed for you?
Oh, well, probably Golden Retrievers, because I feel like I might have been one in a past life, because... I'm just a pleaser and I will always bring the ball back and, I'll respond to, praise. That's my lot.
Well, you've been around, your homes have been in several places other than Boston and London. You moved to Malibu at one point, to New York at another point when you were taking care of your mother, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then currently Minnesota. What brought you to Minnesota?
Oh, yeah.
Minnesota.
I'm in Minnesota now.
Yeah.
I'm in the Minneapolis. My husband... grew up there.
Okay.
And we were a little burned out on New York. This is 2016. And we were a little bit getting priced out of New York, candidly. And we were just kind of burnt and needed a new adventure. And we hated LA. No way were we going back there. We weren't that fond of Nashville as a sort of music town destination. And Minneapolis is a great music town. It's a great city, despite all of the racial
tension,
awful stuff. It is a really great city, and I think there's hope for it. I hope there's hope for it. But we could afford to actually buy a house, and that was a big part of like we need to get our ducks in a row because life's short.
Minneapolis gave us Prince and all the things that were related to that.
Yeah.
The Replacements.
Yeah.
Who are your contemporaries that you're hanging around with?
In Minneapolis, well, there's this amazing rapper named Dessa.
Okay.
She's killer. There's another vocalist named Abby Wolf, who I just adore. And she has a really cool kind of hybrid thing she's experimenting with called Champagne Confetti. It's her and a guy named Eric Mason. So they're really doing cool things. Rebecca Ahrens, my cello player, lives in Minneapolis. So it's a
John
great
Gorka's
town.
there too, isn't he? Or is he?
Gorka's a little out in the burbs, but yeah, he's somewhere nearby.
Do you know Carrie Noble at all?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
haven't seen her in a long time.
Yeah, she was from Detroit originally before she moved out there.
Oh, there's a connection.
Used to not hang out, but she knows who I am. So.
Yeah, I'll say hi.
Please do. I was supposed to. I actually got to visit Minnesota last summer and tried to catch up with her while I was there, but too busy. So anyway, how about another song?
Sure. What do you want?
A song on the guitar. You had a story about
the mandolin.
Well, that mandolin's cool, but you had a story you were going to say, but you said, I'll save it for the song.
About Better After All.
Yeah, we should tell the story then.
I should tell the story. So that first song, apparently, so I was just teaching a songwriting workshop in Nashville last week, and it was this amazing range of people from all over the place. A girl from England, a 19-year-old from England, this guy named Sam from Boston, another UK person. Anyway, people from all over, all ages. Sam was like 20. The England girl is 19. There's a 60-year-old. There's a 40-year-old. Really, really cool bunch. And it turned out they all started sharing this really intense, amazing stuff about their lives. And apparently for Sam, this song was kind of a mantra, saved him kind of song. He was homeless on the streets in Boston. And something about this song, he just kept playing it over and over and over again and somehow got sober. Kudos to this young dude. And his mom had known my music, had written about it in one of her, she was a writer, had written me into one of her novels 20 years ago. So all of a sudden there's this weird connection with Sam
getting back to his family, resurrecting his relationships, getting sober, playing this song over and over again. And then his mom saying, wait a minute, I know her. I wrote about her in this book. And Sam's like, I need to learn how to write songs. Wow. How do I do that? She's like, well, Google it. And then the first thing that came up was my workshop. So this kid ended up at my workshop, and
That's crazy.
It was pretty life-changing for both of us, I would say.
Nice. Well, is the guitar tuned for So Much Mine, since we were talking about that?
I could do that.
All right, well,
tune it.
Well, we don't want you to have to do anything difficult. Acoustic Alternatives today from the Grove Studios in Ypsilanti.
Yeah, So Much Mine. Do you want the story? Nah. Too boring.
Well,
yeah?
The short version.
Short version. So Much Mine. I was a nanny. I fell in love with these two little girls. I started to imagine what it might be like to be a mother and slowly lose them, whether it was just that they grew up and didn't need me anymore, or whether they ran away and were lost to, like Sam on the streets somewhere. So that's how this happened.
Jonatha Brooke is my guest today on Acoustic Alternatives, doing the song that turned me into a fan 30 years ago. It's a special moment when an artist that you admire so much does a song that you've loved for years and years and years, feet away from you, in the midst of a pandemic still.
That's the early in the day version of it.
Yeah. What's different for you about that than the early in the day? Oh, I see. Like it's early. It's not 8 o'clock at night.
I haven't sung yet
Sorry.
today, so I'm like, that's a really tough one to do out of the gate. But I love it so much that I wanted to do it.
Thank you.
And also, my voice is changing. I think I'm liking one of the things about getting older that I do like is this sort of lower register that feels more powerful and more experienced, and it has more gravitas to it when I sing.
I was paying attention to the big notes and thinking, God, she can still hit those big notes. I mean,
I missed one, but that's
no,
okay.
but I
was
mean, like,
counting.
as people get older, it is a lot harder for them to sing the songs that they wrote when they were younger because they're hitting different registers. So yeah.
So far, I have not changed any keys. So we'll call me next year.
Okay, love to.
Well, I figure if you I just actually learned how to practice.
All these years later.
All these years later, I'm finally actually warming up my voice, before gigs.
There you go. Well, over the years, you've written a lot of great songs. Is there a lyric that you're the most proud of in your catalog? I mean, that's a big catalog to pick from, but something that when you wrote it, you're like, yes.
Well, So Much Mine was one of those gift songs where, I had that phrase, so much mine, and I didn't quite know what it meant yet. I just thought, oh, that's a cool little catchy thing, but it could have meant anything, right? But then as I started telling the story of the mother and the daughter, I thought, wow, that's what that means. It's love, it's loss, it's despair, it's hope, it's just that current that we share. So that's one I'm proud of. Lyrically, there's a song called Twilight that I'm super proud of, the lyrics. I just love, in the chorus I say, I love you, not perfectly, not well, but I love you. And I'm leaving soon, so fare thee well. I love you, so let that be the story that you tell. So that's one I'm proud of. Because I Told You So has some good lyrics. I don't know, it's funny because as I'm revisiting my catalog, as I sort of put together songs for each tour, or I'm putting songs together for this cello trio thing that I'm doing recently, and I'm making these cello charts. So I'm revisiting some different songs that I maybe haven't done in a while, and I'm rediscovering them in this great way, like excavating treasure.
I just read, because I like to read about music and who's doing what. I just read that Jewel wrote 200 songs for her new album that she pared down to however many is on this record.
Well, quit it.
I know. How many songs did you ever have written for a record?
That's crazy.
I know it is.
I've only ever had like one or two extra. If I finish a song, it's a keeper.
There you go.
I'm not going to write 200 songs to get 12. What a waste of time.
So you've had records.
All due respect, Jewel.
No, she's not listening. Have there been records that you've cut songs off of, though? And what happens to those songs? Do they resurface?
There's only one song that never got repurposed, and it was called Halfway From Here, and I think it was supposed to be on 10 Cent Wings. And I think we arranged it, and we added strings to it, and then it just was like, this doesn't really fit, and it's not my favorite song anyway. But literally, if I finish a song, it's for a good reason, and I'm not going to waste it. There was one that didn't make it onto the Woody Guthrie lyric record that I made called No More Letters, but it became a bonus track that we put on the
Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble.
It's in the
version,
car right now, actually.
Which I love that song, and I wish it could have fit on the original, but at least it's there.
It's there. It's out there.
Yeah, I just don't have that kind of time to waste music.
Right. Well, that means that there won't be like a 30th anniversary of any of your albums with bonus tracks because there aren't any.
There are none bonus tracks.
There's one bonus track.
There's okay. There are I've written 5 musicals now, so there are a ton of songs that I've written for musicals that, you kill your darlings when you're in that world. You have to we cut this scene. So there goes that amazing song you wrote for the third song in the I Want slot. And then all of a sudden, we killed that character. So this one has to come in. So now we need a new thing. And you're like, what? You're cutting my Firefly song? No, you can't. So yeah, there's a lot of those that who knows if they'll turn up anytime.
When you're writing, do you write on piano and guitar, or do you prefer one or the other?
That's a good question, too. I love writing on guitar. My problem is that I write in all these weird tunings. It's not a problem. It's a signature. But when I'm writing in a world where other people will eventually have to play them.
Like a cello player.
Like a cello player, or like in musical theater. Because I'm working on a new musical now that was a commission. And the last one that I did, I had all these weird tunings. I had it mandolin. And then when it came time to do a reading, no one else could play my parts because they're bizarre and they're just signature to me. So I had to train my guitar player, Ben Butler, how to play my songs in my weird tunings, and it almost killed him. And he's a genius. So after that experience, my new musical I'm writing mostly on piano, so that at least someone can actually play, someone who can read music can actually read the charts.
Transpose it to whatever they need.
Yeah.
Do you take arrangements of songs into the studios with you in your head? Like, I've written it on guitar, but I want this bass part. Are you the arranger, or is it your producer that handles that?
I'm an arranger. Yeah, I love producing. Cool. I love making up parts. I love being really bossy and telling people what to play, what to sing. I love the studio. It's just a candy land.
Are you self-taught?
I am self-taught.
Guitar and everything?
Yep, everything.
That's why the tunings are unusual.
Yeah, it was sort of by default. Standard tuning was super boring and super hard to play. I hate bar chords. Why do that when you can have a rich... Oh, that's standard. See how boring that is?
Oh.
You can't jam on that. So why would you bother? Like, you could have a beautiful rich chord where you still wouldn't have to use your left hand, but you could make a gorgeous sound without working so hard.
Well, in this studio over the years, you've worked with a lot of cool people. Bruce Coburn's been in there, Neil Finn, Michael Franti, Keb Mo, Glenn Phillips, and we briefly mentioned, Joe Sample's in there too. So this wide variety of people you've worked with, but Woody Guthrie. I mean, he didn't really work with Woody in the studio, but he was there in spirit, I'm sure. We could go into hours about that project, I'm sure, but...
So good.
So with all the people you've already worked with, is there a wish list of, gosh, I wish I could work with X, Y, and Z before...
Well, this Belgian guy that I'm obsessed with.
You told me about before we got into this.
He calls himself Stromae, which is maestro reversed. But I'm absolutely obsessed with him. He had a record maybe 10 years ago called Racine Carrée, which means crossed roots, I believe. And I just think it was genius. I think that his storytelling is wicked deep and wicked poetic. It's in French. He sings in French. But his arranging and his combining of grooves from all over the world, African and Chinese and South American, these different song forms, and the instruments that he taps for all of these records, it is this really amazing meshing of all sorts of roots, and he's a compelling performer, and he's visually super adventurous. He makes incredible videos of his work, and
does he know you exist, and does he want to collaborate with you?
I doubt it, but that would be like to write a song with him and sort of to merge our particular roots, like this weird folky thing that I do with sort of the beats that he might be drawn to. That would be super cool.
Would you change your name to J-Bro, like you were calling yourself for a little while?
Totally. Are you kidding? I would change my name to anything.
Well, he's on your list. Okay. That's cool. One of my favorite ones that you collaborated with was the Bruce Coburn one, War. And as I was thinking about that, it's like, well, your career has spanned 2 wars now at this point. Are you, not that you want to be inspired by what's happening currently, but are you being inspired to put this one down in some way, shape, or form?
It's so overwhelming. It's so much, and it's, collectively, globally, what we've all sort of experienced over the last 2 years with COVID, and then now Ukraine. It feels like I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Not yet.
I guess it would be as I usually try to do, is I tell a way smaller story inside the bigger one, because I'm not a soapboxy kind of person. So I would have to find a tiny story. Maybe it would be one of the journalists that I follow on Twitter, who's a Ukrainian writer, rescued a dog from the middle of Mariupol. And there's a photo of this forlorn little, it must be sort of a small golden, labra something. And he's in the middle of this completely devastated scene. It's just been shelled into it's just a wasteland. And there's this little dog looking out. And so this journalist rescued him, and he called him Tank.
Nice.
And so, maybe I would just sort of
focus on that.
I don't know, just focus on Tank.
There'd be a story there.
Yeah. Because otherwise I just would cry.
Yeah. All right, song time. Would you another guitar, or you brought the mandolin? I have no idea.
I did bring the mandolin. What do you think?
You could. Why not?
All right, hold on.
What song would you like to do on mandolin?
This is called Imposter.
Nice, from the album of the same name, EP.
Yes,
EP.
album of the same name. And I wrote this really about myself. I was really thinking about imposter syndrome and how I struggle with that, and everyone that I actually respect struggles with it, which is such a relief, right? But whenever I tour in Europe, they think it's about Trump. The emperor with no clothes, but I cast myself as the emperor with no clothes. I'm the imposter, the emperor parading through the town square, naked as a jaybird, vying for the spotlight, even as I feel the rush of cold air. But no one says a word, I'm the one night stand up against the wall. Promise you I love you, but I'll never ever call. Liar, loser, phony. No one ever says so, but I know it's true. Poser, lightweight, cheapskate. The woe is me, the wannabe. Go ahead and drop the other shoe. It runs in the family. I come from a long line of pretenders, naked just like me, keeping up the pretense, dodging our reflection so we don't see what everyone else sees. Liar, loser, phony. No one ever says so, but I know it's true. Poser, lightweight, cheapskate. Woe is me, the wannabe. Someone better muster up the truth. Why am I the only one who's tired of pretend? My very own best saboteur. Coming clean has such a lure. Liar, loser, phony. No one ever says so, but I know it's true. Poser, lightweight, cheapskate. The woe is me, the wannabe. I don't want to wait and see. Liar, loser, phony. No one ever says so, but I know it's true. I know it's true. Poser, lightweight, it's late. So I'm putting on my old cheap suit. I abdicate. My reign here is through. So drop the other shoe. 'Cause I'm the imposter, the emperor parading through the town square, naked as a jaybird.
And she's naked as a jaybird on the cover of that EP, actually. Imposter is the name of the song, and the EP that's from Jonatha Brooke.
I was naked.
Oh, in the middle of the street with those people staring?
In the middle of the street with those people cheering me. And then as when it was too late, when the record was already out, and I was like signing autographs in in the line after shows, I thought, well, this is awkward. I'm naked on this thing. Like, wow.
Oh, well.
Dum-dum.
Didn't think that through, did we? So some of your peers have done a project that made me wonder if you'd ever want to do a project like Cry, 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 Dar Williams, Richard Shadell, Lucy Kaplansky. Is there two artists that you would think of working with like on a trio project like that where you did an album and a tour together?
Well, Phoebe Bridgers,
Ooh.
I would dig that. But she's already got so many side projects. But I do love her and Lucy Dacus.
Yeah.
I think they're just killer writers. I just really dig their stuff. I think Taylor Swift should do a little small thing like that. You know, 3 chicks in harmony, and you know, I'd be up for that.
Yeah. Well, Richard Shadell wasn't a chick, so you'd have to add a guy in there somewhere.
You do need a guy. Sean Driscoll, my guitar player, is a killer singer.
There you go.
So I would bring him because he can sing higher than me. Who else would I do?
That's a pretty cool trio right there.
Yeah. Well, Joe Laurie, who tours with me sometimes, I would bring her too. Could it be 5 people?
Sure, why not?
Because then we could do like really dissonant harmonies.
You could do that. What about if you were in charge of curating a Lilith fair? You just named 2 people you'd probably put on there with Lucy and Phoebe. Like your own version of Lilith Fair, the J Bro Festival or something. I don't know, whatever.
The J Bro Festival. I bring the Indigo Girls because I just love them so much and they've become friends. Probably, you know, Phoebe and Lucy. Would have to be chicks. Yeah.
Lilith Fair was.
It was all chicks. Yeah. I'd bring Ingrid, who used to sing with me.
Yeah.
She's an incredible writer.
Remember Ingrid, yeah.
And no one really knew that. But what a great writer. Gosh, I'm blanking on all the girls that are out there doing great stuff.
Jonatha Brooke is one.
Well, I would be, I'd be headlining.
Well, you have a relatively new album, Sweetwater
I do.
Sessions, recorded at Sweetwater, because that's
Not far from here, is it?
no, it's Chicago, isn't it?
It's actually Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. You also
Indiana.
Midnight Hallelujah. Also Midnight Indiana. I just made a new city.
Midnight, Indiana.
Also recorded there. It looks like I just noticed that now because it says in the back.
Yeah, we did both records there. Yep.
So, how did you choose which songs to re-record for this? Because you do have a lot of songs to pick from, and I guess I kind of would have expected them to be stripped down acoustic, but you've already done live acoustic albums, so
it was tough. It is a retrospective. So first of all, I wanted to pick some songs that I feel that have evolved a lot over the years that might warrant, approaching with this older perspective and this older voice, like Angel in the House. I put on this record. I was like, I really want to do that one because I think I sing it so differently now. I have this wisdom that I didn't have then. I didn't even quite understand what I was writing about. So that one, and I think we did Full-Fledged Strangers, which I was never happy with the original of that on Plum. So we did that. Mm-hmm. Twilight is just one of the songs I'm so proud of, and I actually repurposed it for one of my musicals I'm working on.
Cool.
But I wanted to reapproach that and give it a little more breath and strip it down a little more than it was on the original. And what else? And then, you got to have a cover song. So I had to do Hide Your Love Away by the Beatles.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
It's a nice collection of songs. I was just curious how do you narrow it down? Songs that need new arrangements.
Yeah, and my Peter Pan song, I definitely wanted to have a recording that I owned because Disney owns everything that I did about that song, which was on a huge movie for them. And it's been, sung in 15 languages by 15 other women. Nice. And it's all over the world. And that's really one of my biggest songs. So I wanted to make a version that I owned.
Right. So it's not one of your records, finally.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you license it for some sort of a retrospective?
Well, that'd be good.
You should.
Hey, Disney.
Hey, can I borrow my song back?
Thank you, Mouse.
I'm glad something like that is in your back catalog. Yeah. Something that probably generates a occasional check in the mail.
Once in a while, Disney saves my life. Yep.
That's awesome.
Once in a while.
Because, having been in it so long, you kind of, at this point, because I've been in the music industry when CDs were brand new. Like I was working in a record store when we got the very first CDs. And like you, I've kind of watched it go from there to, can't make a living selling music anymore, can we?
No, not one bit. That's why everyone's out here touring.
Right.
If you can tour, you got to tour.
And I try to convince people that you got to go to the tour because if you don't, then they're not going to be able to make new music. Because if you're not buying their albums and you're not paying them to perform for you, you're going to lose them. They're going to have to go bag groceries. And
I think it still is a disconnect. People don't understand that.
I do do very much.
You do, yeah.
Because I have lots of friends who are musicians, and I care about their livelihoods and their well-being. So I do what I can to make sure that it happens.
Thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of people I know are just, you know what, I can't make it work anymore. I got to go back to school, or I got to do it, plan B.
I know a few people who gave up.
Yeah.
Did the Kitchen COVID concerts, did you charge for those? I watched a few, but I don't remember ever paying you.
They were free, but I did.
Tip jar.
And this was it was such a weird feeling to be like, you don't feel great about like shoving your Venmo information in front of people, in the little chat room of the live stream, but it saved me.
Good.
I couldn't have survived that first year without the live stream tips.
It was
amazing.
Yeah, you had to do something. I mean,
Yeah.
I turned to this. It wasn't really a money generator, but it saved my soul because I was missing what I was doing before I lost my radio job.
Yeah,
So,
besides that, it was soul saving,
Right.
for sure.
well, you've done a lot of different things since then as well. I noticed there's Jonatha the model recently. Like, what the heck's going on with that? Since when? I mean, not that you're not beautiful enough to be a model, but dancer and singer was enough, I thought.
Well, I was kind of joking about it, but like early in the pandemic, I got this message from this woman named Annie Turbin, and she's a clothing designer she was in LA, now she's in Chicago. But she said, I think you would look great in my stuff. Can I send you a few things? So I'm like, okay, like what girl didn't want new clothes? So she sent me a bunch of stuff. This is hers and that's hers. And I just started wearing it all the time. I started wearing it on my live streams, and she started getting calls from
Where do I buy
people
that?
who were like, where'd she get that sweatshirt? Because I would always mention her name because she'd been so generous with me. So anyway, for 2 years, we've been like joking about, well, you should come model for me. So I actually did. I went to her photographer's in Nashville. So I went to Nashville and I modeled for a day. I must have changed out of like 50 or 60 different outfits. I think there were like 2,600 photographs that were taken, and I was a model.
New headshots, new album covers, done.
It's wicked hard. It's wicked hard. I was so tired.
Yeah.
And then at one point she has me like jumping and like kicking and whew.
Still agile though.
Yeah.
So singer, model, also teacher now, teaching master classes.
A lot.
Another way to make a little bit of money when you're not on tour.
It really helps. Yeah, I have 3 sessions usually that I do in Nashville, these intensive 3-day workshops where 15 people gather, and it's more than songwriting. It's just really community building, and it's bonding, and a lot of lives change, and including mine. Every time I get sort of cracked wide open and we try all sorts of stuff, and I'm, yes, of course, teaching what I've learned over the years and sort of deconstructing my songs, but people just really go deep, and it's so impressive. They're so brave. Like I'm terrified every time I sing a new song, but they are there. They've come from all over the world, and they're trying new stuff in front of total strangers. It's awesome. It's amazing.
See how you inspire.
Well, they inspire me.
Yeah. We briefly talked about you're working on some off-Broadway again, like My Mother Has Four Noses was an off-Broadway thing. Is this the other things you're working on similar to those? And
Yeah. I'm working on one musical called Switched, which is about 2 women who were switched at birth, and they find out when they're 40.
Wow.
And it's really, really cool. And then I was commissioned. I'm actually getting paid to write this second musical called Tempest. Not Tempest, it's Tempest. And it's a really exciting journey. I was paired up with this playwright named Jacqueline Backus, who's genius. And so we basically wrote a whole musical over the pandemic because we were on Zoom the whole time. We weren't ever in person. But our first table reading is going to be in a couple weeks in New York in May.
So we can expect something to be emerging publicly soon.
Well, I think these producers want it to go to Broadway. So
nice.
We keep saying, like, how are we going to make this affordable? Because that's our, we're in poverty theater world, Jacqueline and I. And they're like, no, we could have 6 dancing people and there can be, no, don't worry about it. There can be a huge ship on the set if you want. And we're like, okay.
Maybe if you can afford it, I can.
Yep.
Also, your current tour project is a cello thing. Is there plans to record any of those cello things?
We are hoping in the fall to record some of our cello songs project. It grew out of, again, the pandemic. My cello player, Rebecca, who lives 2 blocks from me in Minneapolis, and I made a recording of one song with our arranger friend, Adi Yeshaya, and we it saved us, to actually just be making music, as hard as it was being masked in the studio. And then we've expanded that to, he's written a new string quartet, and he's arranging string quartet, bass, vocals, and percussion for 10 of my songs for a performance in Minneapolis in June. And then we're going to see where that goes.
You should record it.
Yeah, I think we should record it. And then meanwhile, I've written all these cello charts for my songs, and Rebecca is on the road with me and Sean now.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
I appreciate all kinds of music, but my appreciation for the cello came from my dentist who said, hey, you got to check out Apocalyptica doing Metallica. I'm like, what? No, write it down. Check it out when you get home. It's really cool. Like, okay. And then kind of opened the door to, wow, what else is out there? Two cellos, is those handsome gentlemen from Europe who do all these interesting cello interpretations, and they're pretty popular.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So my appreciation of the cello grew out of somebody suggesting, check out cello Metallica. I'm like, well, I'm never a huge Metallica fan, but that's interesting way to approach it.
Well, I love the challenge of arranging. I have to learn a new thing. I have to learn how to actually write music because I'm unschooled, so I've had to learn that. And then I've had to learn how to write, what the range of the cello is and how to write parts for it. And the beauty of the cello is it can be the other chick singer. It can be that other vocal part, but it can also be your bass, and it could be a percussive sort of rhythmic thing too. So it's just this beautiful landscape.
I've noticed the tour schedules short little bursts. Is that how you have to do it? I mean,
no,
that's just how
where everyone is desperate to tour.
That's what I figured it might be.
And they're just, there aren't enough days in the week for all of us to, be out there and make the rounds.
It might have been 15 years ago I asked you about how much it would cost to do a house concert. Has that price gone down in light of the situation?
No, it's absolutely still $1 million.
It was like $10,000 when I asked you, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, some people charge less. Not that you're not worth that,
but for the band.
Yeah.
For the band. If you want a whole band and you want to rock the house, it'll be $10,000.
Well, got to make a living.
You got to make a living.
Because we're not buying your records. Yes, we are. Because I have them.
Yeah. Well, just maybe for your listeners, in case, because there really is a disconnect. They don't understand. I wrote a song with Katy Perry that I thought, oh, finally I'm gonna make some bank. Ka-ching. And it's gobsmacking that for like 750,000 streams of that Katy Perry song, I netted like $4.87. Now, where in the olden days I would have made, because it was a 3-way co-write, I would have made 3 cents per album sold, per song.
Right.
So there you do. There's some math. There's some math for you.
Take that into consideration.
Take that into consideration and go buy a ticket.
Jonatha Brooke is my guest today on Acoustic Alternatives, and she's got one more in an alternate tuning that she's going to do before my final question.
Because I Told You So was one of those gift songs that kind of descends on you. I had this idea of, I love cliches because often they can mean way more than they originally mean. And this one was particular to that. Because I Told You So is something that your mom said your whole life. But what if it were you and a lover just battling it out and say, why can't you believe me? I swear I love you. Why do you need more than me just telling you that I do? And so it grew out of that. And it was very intense to sing, to write, to record. I was recording with my husband, amazing producer, Alain Mallet, who produced 10 Cent Wings, the record that it's on. And it felt like we didn't really know what I was writing. Like so many of the songs on that record, people would say like, wow, are you guys okay? Because there's some dark stuff, this among them. And we'd be like, oh no, we're fine. And this kind of was the song about our marriage. And so there. If I gave you the
sky. And if I laid down my life, would you believe me then? And if I promised to change, and if I carried the blame, would you believe me then? Could you see it like me and believe what I see? Could you listen and remember that I love you, you only? 'Cause I told you, 'cause I told you so. And if you told me you lied, but I stayed true and tried, would you believe me then? And if your beauty was gone, but my love lingered on, would you believe me then? Could you see it like me and believe what I see? Could you listen and remember that I love you, you only? Because I told you, 'cause I told you so. You take the wheel for now, 'cause I'm too tired to drive this one home anyhow. For now. And when you mention my name, let there's the one thing remain. My love, believe me now.
Because you kind of told the pre-story, I'd never made a connection with another favorite song of mine that's not yours, but a favorite song that has kind of a similar theme. It just hadn't connected. I don't know if you would know the song from Kenny Loggins called "Swear Your Love."
Oh, I don't.
From the album High Adventures. The chorus
I
is
love him, though.
the chorus is "Swear your love, say you don't need no diamond. If some piece of paper is keeping us together, I ain't buying it."
Oh, wow.
It's sort of a parallel between the. Isn't it enough just to say?
Yeah, isn't it enough?
Isn't it? Wow, jeez, what a powerful song.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I have to say, maybe I've said this to you before, but in the years of my household that we've been together, of the artists that I've brought into all of them pretty much, music that I bring into the household, there are very, very few that are requested. Can you please play some? Can you pull out the CD from? Jonatha Brooke, it comes up, and Chris Cornell is another one. But
Oh, wow,
I
yeah.
mean, there's two opposite ends there.
Oh,
She also
thank
wanted to
you.
know if Hogan's Heroes is really one of your favorite TV shows.
I think it just fit the rhyme
I thought
scheme.
so.
Yeah.
All right. So the thing I noticed, and the final question, I guess, is from your recent post about your upcoming show in Chicago, you had play in all capital letters. And it made me realize you probably consider this more playing than work, don't you? So what's your take on what you do for a living? Is
Yeah,
it
I
work?
hate to say it, but I would do it anyway.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to not get
Yeah.
paid for it, but
I love what I do. I love my job so much, and that's why it's so hard not to have been able to do it for so long. At least the touring part of it, and to feel so kind of unsettled and uncertain about the future of touring. Just because. Will there be another wave? Will the next round of gigs get canceled? I have friends who've had 3 different tours canceled and then rescheduled, and then by the 3rd time they're like, "Screw it, I can't. I just can't."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start over.
Yeah, start over. So I just hope that we can continue doing what we do, and that people understand how essential it is to those of us who do this. That they show up and support us.
Well, thank you for 31 years of enjoying your music, and I wish for 30 some more to come.
Yeah, we'll do it. Let's do it. Let's do it when I'm in the walker.
I hope your fingers and your voice hold out. Your voice sounds great still.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Jonatha.
Thank you, John. My pleasure.
Acoustic Alternatives from Grove Studios in Ypsilanti. Please look them up if you're in the area and you're looking for a place for your band or your podcast or your DJ skills to practice. They're an excellent choice for you. They've been very kind to me, and they'll be awfully kind to you. And thank you to Jonatha for being kind as well. The latest album is called The Sweetwater Sessions, available on your website, simply jonathabrooke.com. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
There we go. Thanks a lot.